If you grew up too fast, chances are people have called you mature for your age more times than you can count. Maybe you were the one comforting your parents instead of the other way around. Maybe you learned to cook, manage money, or take care of siblings before you even understood what childhood was supposed to feel like. And somewhere along the way, you probably started believing that something was taken from you. Here's the truth. Something was taken from you, but psychology shows that what grew in its place is rare, valuable, and often misunderstood as a burden when it's actually a quiet form of strength. Today, we're going to walk through 5 traits that tend to develop in people who had to grow up before they were ready, and why each one, despite the pain behind it, became a gift. Let's start with the first trait, heightened emotional awareness.
When you grow up in an environment where you have to read the room, where you have to sense a parent's mood before they even speak, or notice tension before it becomes an argument, your brain adapts. Research indicates that children who take on emotional responsibility early develop stronger skills in reading facial expressions, tone shifts, and unspoken feelings. This is sometimes called hypervigilance. And yes, it can be exhausting. But it also means that as an adult, you likely have an unusual ability to sense when someone you care about is struggling, even before they say a word. Friends probably come to you because you notice things other people miss. What started as a survival skill became emotional intelligence most people spend years trying to learn.
The second trait is independence that runs deeper than most people's do.
If you grew up fast, you likely stopped waiting for someone to save you a long time ago. You learned to solve problems on your own, sometimes because there was no one else to ask. Psychology shows that early independence, while often born from necessity rather than choice, builds a strong internal locus of control, meaning you trust your own judgment and your own ability to handle hard things. This is why, as an adult, you're probably the person others lean on during a crisis. You don't panic the way some people do, because you've been in real difficulty before and came out the other side. That's not luck. That's a skill you built one hard moment at a time. The third trait is a deep, quiet empathy for people who are struggling. When you've experienced hardship early, you understand pain in a way that people with easier childhoods often don't. You're less likely to judge someone for struggling with something you don't fully understand, because you know what it's like to carry weight that isn't visible from the outside. Research on adversity and empathy suggests that people who face early stress often develop a stronger capacity for compassion, especially toward others who are hurting quietly. This means you probably give people grace that others wouldn't think to give. You see the human being behind the mistake, the tired parent behind the short temper, the anxious friend behind the canceled plans. That kind of understanding isn't common. It's earned. The fourth trait is resourcefulness under pressure. Growing up too fast often means growing up without a safety net. At least, not the kind other kids had. So you learn to figure things out. Psychology shows that people who face early responsibility tend to develop stronger problem-solving skills because they simply had more practice doing it without guidance. If something breaks, you find a way to fix it. If a plan falls apart, you build a new one without much hesitation. This trait quietly shows up in your work, your relationships, and the way you handle unexpected setbacks. While others might freeze, you tend to move into action because staying still was never really an option for you growing up. The fifth trait is the ability to hold space for other people's pain without losing yourself. This one is subtle, but powerful. When you grow up fast, you often become the emotional anchor in your family or friend group, the one who stays calm, the one who listens, the one who somehow always has it together.
Over time, this builds an unusual capacity to support others without being completely overwhelmed by their emotions. Psychology refers to this as strong emotional regulation, and it's something many adults never fully develop. You probably know how to sit with someone in their hard moment without trying to fix it too quickly or making it about you. That's rare. That's real strength, not just composure.
Now, here's the part that matters most. None of this means the hard parts weren't hard. Growing up too fast often comes with grief. Grief for the childhood you didn't fully get to have, for the innocence that got interrupted, for the version of you that had to be strong before you were ready. That grief is valid, and it doesn't need to be minimized just because good things eventually grew from it. But it's also true that you took something painful and, without even realizing it, turned it into skill, into insight, into a way of moving through the world that many people spend their whole lives trying to learn through therapy, hardship, or trial and error. You didn't choose the circumstances, but you built something valuable inside them anyway.
If this described you, you're not broken, and you're not too much or too intense or too serious, even if people have said that to you before. You're someone who adapted, who survived something quietly, and who came out of it with a kind of depth that's hard to fake and even harder to teach. So, if you recognized yourself in any of these 5 traits, take a moment to actually sit with that. You've been carrying more than people realize, for longer than people realize, and you're still here, still capable of connection, still capable of growth, still capable of softness, even after everything that asked you to be hard. If this video helped you understand yourself a little better, consider subscribing. We post videos like this regularly, breaking down the hidden strengths behind the traits that often get misunderstood, so you can start recognizing your own story with a little more compassion. You've earned that.